Joe! Joe on Joe is the only podcast where Joe talks about Joe. And now, your host, Joe Slepsky.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Draw with Joe. No, it's Joe on Joe, the GIJOE podcast where I go through all the episodes of the Sunbow cartoon, all the episodes of the DRC cartoon. We did Extreme! And lately we've been doing this Draw with Joe program. Now, I hope everyone listening enjoyed the first installment of it. I didn't hear that you hated it, so that's a good sign. I don't know how many more of these we're going to do. I'm going to do it till I get tired of drawing. I really hope you enjoyed last week's You on Joe with What's on Joe Mind's Mike Irizarry. That was always great. And it didn't even dawn on me until I was getting ready to do this one today that we did Hawk. Mike played Hawk in GI Columbo, and now we're doing Hawk again. So it's like a 3 weeks of Hawk kind of a situation. Very excited. And today we're doing Hawk's profile picture. I know we did his his face on picture last week, his head on. It's getting a little cocked to the side. Last week, by the way, rest in peace. This is my Captain America pencil. I've had this again for better part of, is that a date on there? Shoot. I think I literally just I was trying to get some lead out of it and it kept cracking. And so I think I literally just shaved away the year on it, but I've had this thing for a long time. Oh wait. It's on his butt. 1990. Holy cow. There's a trademark on his butt. I don't know if you can make it out in the video. I've had this guy since 1990 and we finally worked it all the way and there's all the lead is cracked. So I can't get any kind of an edge on it. So adios, Captain America. 1990 means that actually this was in my art school at Richards High School. So I was using this back then to draw when I do, as the great Han Solo once said, delusions of grandeur. Anyway, thank you. If you're new, if you're old, thank you for listening to Joe and Joe. I really enjoy it. It's quite a treat. I really love doing different stuff like this. I hope you guys are enjoying it as well. If you are, please reach out on social media and let me know at Joe on Joe Pod. That's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Shoot me an email to joeandjoepod@gmail.com. Let me know what you think. And you can check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/Joe on Joe Pod. And we've got ways you can help support the show and help keep Captain America lead free. This was 1990 was before Capwolf, I think. Well, also, you're going to be on the internet, so I'm going to need you to go to the Movies in a Meal podcast. They're our amazing sponsors the last few years now, and they absolutely keep the show running. They keep the lights on. They're really great, especially because podcasts and movie talk go hand in hand. They really do, like movie, TV, entertainment stuff. They provide that. It's kind of like what I want to do with this show is be that voice in your ear as you're watching something else, so as you're watching that movie or you just watched that movie and you got all the visuals still running through your head, movie podcasts kind of sit in that ear and just kind of fill up that part of your brain that your eyes, your eyes already imprinted something on there. And then that's where movie podcasts come into play. And Movies in a Meal podcast, they do a fantastic job of that. They cover a wide variety of shows. They cover some TV. They're breaking their inherent promise. How dare they? And it's really great. So please give them a listen, give them a shout. And rest in peace, Captain America. I hardly knew ye. I could literally never figure out if this was supposed to ever be an eraser or if it was just a rubber thing on the end of the thing. I do think that ultimately it was a eraser. You see, I tried it, but then I don't want to ruin Captain America on the end of my thing. So I never used him as an eraser. So rest in peace. However, he is being replaced this week by Superman, who also I believe I have had since college. There's a date thing on the back of him. 1990. My eyes enjoyed you. This is from 1999, if my eyes are correct. So that's a couple years after college. That means I got this when I was just out of college, living in Chicago, doing my thing, and Superman entered my life. So today we're going to be drawing with Superman. Last week was Elvis. The thing that you quickly realize with a pencil like this is that it literally is a counterweight. You know, like you see that and it throws off your pencil. So we're going to see how that affects me today. We might even do some inking. So maybe I'll rough it with Superman and we'll go back and ink. But either way, I'm excited to be doing this again. We'll jump right into it. As you know, we're covering How to Draw G.I. Joe #1. I don't think we're going to do everyone. Like the next set, I was looking at it and it's the full on Hawk. Maybe I'll do that separately as like a separate video because that's a lot. I don't think I can cover all that in one brief little hit like this, but I am having fun with it. So today we're going to do Hawk. So as the book says, drawing Hawk's profile is very much the same as drawing the front of his face. Start with an oval shape, then divide it with the center line and eye line as you did the front view. But this time, tilt the center line forward. Once again, the shoulder falls about 1/4 of the head height below the chin. So they're saying draw the oval there. It's kind of his chin. That's kind of his chin there. So they're calling it an oval, but it's really not. It's more like a it's actually a little shaped like a motorcycle helmet. You know, that's kind of the shape it takes. I've never had those posable body statues that artists use. You know what I mean? The ones that look like mannequins. I've never had one of those. And every time I think about like I need to get one just because I like them and you could do cool poses with them, I go, yeah, but I don't really draw all that much anymore. So who knows? Maybe by the end of this, maybe we'll get some posable things. So that's a little off. It's a little off. It's a little off and again, Superman's throwing off. It's a little off, but that's more the base of the skull there. There. Here we go. It's a little heavy, but you know, whatever. So then they're saying the squares in the center. It's all freehand and we're just having fun. Don't judge me. And again, what I said last week is absolutely, I believe, Toilet was like, F you, I don't believe that. And I was like, no, I believe everyone can draw. It's not about doing it, quote, good. It's about enjoying yourself, improving a little bit each time. And by improving, I mean you seeing something about it that you may or may not like and either replicating it if you like it or not doing it again if you don't like it. So they're saying then do the shoulder. There's a shoulder line that they have drawn. Again, they're doing like these thicker lines to denote the curvature lines that you're supposed to be drawing. And it actually is a little hard to tell in the finished product of what is their curvature line versus, you know, like what's a line that is part of their finished product. But I think that's about it. I think that's what they want you to do for your first go around. And I'm a little heavy here, so I'm not even going to screw around. I know I'm heavy there, so I'm going to erase that. And I'm going to erase some of this. And I'm going to erase some of that. So let's talk General Hawk. My first Hawk was General Hawk. And I loved my General Hawk. He was awesome. And I never had a Hawk until, like an original OG Hawk, until very recently. I finally got one. I believe it was last year. I finally picked one up at a show. Or online, I forget. For a, good, decent price. But I wanted a nice one because I was like, if I'm going to get him, I'm going to get him nice. And he's really cool. But what dawned on me is as I was looking at this stuff, I think I'm a little bit of too much of a slant there. There you go. As I was working on this stuff, is what we call General Hawk. He wasn't General Hawk. He was just Hawk. You know, like I'm trying to say, like the file card still just said Hawk. He wasn't technically called General Hawk on a file card until he got that crazy spaceman outfit, which is a whole different kind of conversation. Again, locate the eyes, nose, mouth, and ears in the same relationship as the front view. Know, however, that the ear is located on the central line of the profile. His head balances on the neck like a block on a cylinder. So now they want us to do, that's your line. They want your ear to be like this. They want your ear to be like that, following this line. So start there and there. I'm not really doing proportions correctly. I'm kind of eyeballing all this. But they want that on the same line. So that's going to be the top of his jaw. And then his earlobe was flat. See that there? You see how the earlobe is flat with the nostril, the bottom of the nostril? So then you go out on your triangular. See, that's way too it's way too short for the eye line. We're going to move that eye line up a little bit. I'm going to do this. Oh my God, we just shifted. You see what we just did? We just changed the angle of everything. I think I had it shifted too down. They talked about it being a little cockeyed. And I think I had it too much cockeyed. So now this feels more natural because I'm looking at it and that feels a much more proportional. And we're still keeping the height ratios, at least as accurate as I drew them. Look at the eyes. So that's your eye line. Nose, mouth, and ears in the same relationship as the front view. Okay. Head balances on the neck like a block on a cylinder. So now it looks like we draw the neck in here. So right past the curve. Okay. These seem to be the guidelines. And it looks like his chin's a little. I'm going to do this. I'm going to cheat a little bit and bring that chin up. It's funny. Certain artists always have, we talked about this last time, like tells, things you could tell. And, one of the things that, whether you're considered a master or a newbie or whatever, like literally whatever, is a lot of times it's the relationships and the proportions of the body parts, in relation to it. For example, I want everyone here to Google the master, and he's, listen, he qualifies as a master at this point. His stuff has been adapted and translated, and he certainly has done a ton in his day. Jim Starlin. And look at his work, and he draws a really elongated midsection, like some I would say unflatteringly so, and some just stylistically so. But his midsection is always really, really elongated, and that's one of the tells that, like, it's the kind of thing you use to identify artists when you're looking at art and you don't really know who drew it, things like that. You look for different tells like that. So, like in this case, like his chin would have been too low. You know what I'm saying? So the next one, roughen the hair and other facial details as before. Okay, so this is actually, they want us to do the eyes now. So we're going to try this here. So his brows come out there and they come down in here. So as I'm recording this, I just got in the mail my my Cobra MMS system, which looked pretty great, gotta say. It's weird. So the eyes are actually really right on this guideline. So it's kind of hard to see. It's kind of hard to look at that and see to draw here. So I'm looking here, and that loses. So then you therefore then lose the guideline a little bit. But as far as like assist, but it just got my Cobra mobile missile system that looked awesome. I think people either they have confirmed that the Stinger is on the way, the Cobra Stinger, which is a no-brainer. Obviously, they did the Vamp, which is awesome, and so of course you're going to do the Stinger. It's the same mold, same class of vehicle, so that's a no-brainer. But also, I got this afternoon. So that's there. I got a shipping notification for something. What was it? It was. Oh, I remember now. Axis and Allies. That's it. Axis and Allies is shipping this very soon, I believe. Like it's getting ready to ship. I looked online. I think they said it had like a June 7th date or something like that. So maybe shipping a little bit early for. I ordered it through Hasbro Pulse. So again, another GI Joe game that I am not gonna have time to play, but very excited for. I was not an Axis and Allies kid. I think I remember playing it a little bit with my cousin Mike. Mike, if you're listening, please confirm. So his nose actually crooks back at the pivot here, and then it becomes that triangle, and then it rounds off here. So we're gonna try to. I'm really trying hard to stay on the guidelines instead of to go with my natural instinct, which is to do it wrong. I'm really trying to follow the guidelines on here, and it's when you do that, sometimes you get it right, and sometimes you get just this like weird patchwork version, and then you erase the guidelines and you see that like there's just pieces of him that look good, or that look look correct, so to speak, and then there's other pieces that don't, but they don't really match all that well. That's sometimes what you get when you adhere a little too close to the guidelines. All right, so let's work on his ear a little bit. So, all right, yeah. So Axis and Allies is coming out, and I think if I remember, that's the game that when you played it, you would have to like leave the board up for like 4 days because it was such an extensive campaign over Europe. And so you'd play for like 3 or 4 hours and then you'd have to come back. And I know these days a lot of games are like that. But I feel like back in the day that was a real exception, at least as far as like mainstream games go. All right, so we're doing his ear a little bit. And being the only boy in the house growing up, we played a lot of board games. So it wasn't a board game thing, but like there wasn't a lot of interest in playing the GI Joe stuff. Although my sisters would throw down on a GI Joe, like the Commando Attack. I believe, if I recall, my sister Lori and I would play that a lot. But those are, any game you're asking anyone to play a 3-4 day game, that's a lot. So that is, that's no craziness. But like I feel like I did like a sleepover weekend or something. My cousin Mike, and we busted out a game of Axis and Allies, and I really want to say that's the only time I've ever played that game. So I don't know what we're going to do with this GI Joe one. I don't know if I have space to keep it up for weeks on end, but we're going to give it a shot. So he's got this little, it's this cheekbone. How are we doing this here? Okay. It looks like so that's like some cross hatching there. So his cheekbone is actually, so just to do that. And then there's a little bit of feathering. Talked about this last week too, where when I learned to do this, I was learning off of like finished inked pieces. When I was a kid, like I would draw the inked part and I would never do the underlying pencils. And that's something, the sooner you can break you or your children of that nasty habit, the better for you. I'm going to run into a problem there. So that is because you really want to be drawing. You want to be drawing the pencils. You don't want to be drawing the inks. Or, well, I think I said this last week. You want to be drawing whatever you want to draw. That's really the answer. If it leads to you being a more finished person, cool. But I think think that the lesson for me was don't be afraid to do the inks or the pencil versions. That was the thing, because I would spend time. It's gonna be like this whole series of draw with Joe is going to be a series of emotional catharsises, for me explaining why I don't draw more in my life. Um, it 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 would be like I spent time doing. There we go. That's actually not terrible. Like I'm spending however much time doing the drawing. I want it to be as finished and complete as possible. So why don't I just jump straight to the finished, right? And that's not often, that's usually not the best result, right? That's usually it's at least at that learning stage. You're not teaching yourself. Yeah, this is wacko. This is wild. I'm way off proportion here. You're not giving yourself the room to learn and to make mistakes. So, but it's good to know that, like it's good to, here we go. This is, if you know what you're doing, which I didn't at the time. I just never, it took me a long time to discern the differences and to really look to see what some of the underlying techniques were from some of the artists that I admired, especially back then. It's a lot. A lot of people are fond of saying like it's easier now because your kids have the internet, but it's true because it's not just the internet though. Now there's just a lot more of how to draw stuff. When I was real young, I did not have the How to Draw Marvel Universe. I got that a few years later, a few years after I started drawing, and it I didn't give it the attention that it deserved. Is I think the best way for me to put it is that it would, at the time I think I looked at it as like I was breaking, like unlearn what you have learned kind of a thing, and I wasn't in the mood for it. I wasn't in the mood to unlearn what I had learned. I really wanted to jump right to the I'm drawing, man. I'm drawing with. I don't need to draw feet. This is early '90s. I don't need. I don't need feet, man. Forget about feet. I don't need feet. I don't need expressive emotion. I have a screaming face. I have a screaming face that I want to express, and claws that I'm gonna draw, and that's it. I mean, that was it. That was what I wanted to do. I wanted to draw. Uh, I was big on Art Adams style Wolverines, and uh, lots of people screaming, and I just didn't spend time doing the basics. Um, one of the things I always did, and I talked about this on the show, and I forget who it was. I feel like I want to say it was our buddy Jordan up in Canada, but I forget exactly who it was. And I apologize if you're listening. Be like, that was me. I used to draw GIJOE a lot on my Sunday church bulletins. Bulletin. We have a bulletin. The little bulletins that they'd give you. You'd walk into church, they'd have them printed up, and it'd have the service and what the notes were for the week and all that stuff, what hymns you're singing. I would always pray that they did a poor job of laying it out, because then I would have room on the back page. If they did a good job of fixing the content to the space needed, I had less space on the back page. But if most weeks there was a lot of blank space on the very back, and that would be my, like, dear Lord, please leave me a lot of room to draw on the back. And that's what I would do. I would use those little eraserless pencils in the pew that you would use to fill out the I came and donated card, so give me credit. And I would use those to draw G.I. Joe scenes. Usually it was usually like a cliff face where there were fangs involved. And here we go. See, this is okay. So this is the point where, like I was talking earlier, like you break from the grid and you go, okay, well, this is what I got. So now how can I adjust this to make it look more natural to my eye, and that's I feel where I'm at here. It's like before I had his shoulders on here, and it just the dimensional, the size, the shape of the head that I've kind of morphed into, it doesn't feel right to keep like his neck and his neckline and all that stuff way back there. So we're gonna do this. We're gonna erase this here. What I really hope is you guys draw along too. I get it. It's not as exciting as happy little clouds and um like super instructional. Oh, I think see this is where you get to. This is what I always hated about using pencil guidelines and erasing and stuff. And the real thing is actually, which I think we're going to see how much time I have. I didn't do it on purpose today because I didn't know how long this was going to take. All right, we're at 26 minutes. So I don't think we're going to do it this week. But maybe next time, what I'll do instead of this, instead of just doing straight pencils, what I think maybe we'll do is we'll do pencil roughs, and then we'll go in and ink, and we'll use these Copics to throw some inks down, because then when that ink dries, then you hit it hard with an eraser and then your ink is good. And that's how they used to do back in the day. It's how like the pros did, they did comics and stuff, was exactly that. It was doing you would lay your pencils down, and then the inker would ink it, and then they would just literally erase. Like, imagine all those Kirby pencils would just get destroyed and erased because it was on the actual board itself. It wasn't on a repro board or anything, like back really back in the day, none of that existed. So you would just get like the actual pencils of all these masters erased. And I am not slagging on the inkers. I'm just saying that that's how the job was done. And so what you were looking at when I was talking about the inked version of it, you're really looking at the inked version of it, not the original penciler's intent. So penciler's intent, kind of like Rapper's Delight, but less catchy, but more meaningful, really. So I don't like his nose. I mean, it's not like, I like the whole thing. I like it. But his nose is it's a little too rounded. See, there we go. And that's where a good eraser comes into play. So I went in, carved up his nose a little bit. It's a little, I think his lips a little too small. There's a little, proportions are off a little bit. They also, this is, his eye is that. They really don't give much detail in the eye, but there you go. Yeah, it's a little, it's a little rough again. And the other thing too is if you guys don't know this, and I'm sure anyone who draws who has been laughing at me this whole time, there's a million types of pencils out there. This is just a standard like number 2 soft lead, one you would use for school. This is not, Superman is not in any way, shape, or form an art pencil. Neither was Taking Care of Business. Neither was Captain America. I have real art pencils, and maybe we'll bust those out. And those have different heaviness, different weight to it, and they erase differently and things like that. So like number 2 is really soft, so it does have a lot of smudge to it. It erases really well, and it sharpens pretty well too. But it just has a lot of smudge, has a lot of give. Sometimes like 6B is a pencil that I always worked well with, very thick. 6B, and the other one was, I feel like there was a 2. I don't know. Well, hold on, we'll be right back. So we're kind of finished, and there's some heavy shadows here again. I apologize. My studio is not super set up for all this. I'm doing my best with some weird, awkward light sources, but I think you can make out what's happening. I'm going to try to get a more permanent setup going. I say this in a world where everyone and their brother has a dope video setup just to stream some crappy indie game, and with neon lights and all that stuff. But you know what? That's not the kind of setup I got. So We're going to try to figure it out. So I'll try to get better lighting on this stuff. I also record at night when the sun goes down and the demons come out. No. So I'm not getting any outside light either. So I'm going to have to work on that. So I apologize if that's a bother to anyone watching. But that's it. I mean, that's kind of it. He actually turned out better than I thought he would. I think it's, his chin, just looking at it kind of ratio wise, like his chin's a little too big, for my taste. And, but his eyes turn out better. I think his nose, once we kind of did that under curve, cause it just had the over curve and added that under curve. And I think that made the nose really pop well. I think I raised his nostril, so that helps a little bit. Give him a nose ring. Yeah, there's some proportion stuff going on here. And again, I'm sitting weird. I'm sitting far back. I'm not sitting like where I normally would, which is kind of like hunched over. I don't know if my voice got real weird there. So that's also doing something different to this as well. So, but yeah, that's it. In 25 minutes, you too can draw General Hawk. Although he did, without the fur on the collar, he just kind of looks like any old dude. So here, hold on, let's do some fur. Giving him a few listeners, and for the audio only listeners, I'm doing my best to talk to myself and talk to you. So I hope that's also entertaining. But for now, we're just giving him a little bit of that fur collar from his dope general outfit, which was always my favorite and is always my favorite. That's me. To me, when I think of General Hawk, that's what I think of. So, all right, yeah, there you go. He looks a little more like General Hawk. Sweet. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Draw on Joe. Next week, like I said, I don't think we're going to do the full body. So you could see here, this awesome comic has some full body stuff. So maybe I'll do that as a side thing and edit it together, because that could take quite a bit. We got 2 full body poses going on, but you could see his sweet jacket. Good illustrations, by the way. I like it. Maybe we'll do this. I feel like we're going to do the Sky Striker next week, which is just going to be an exercise in angles. That's going to be fun. Yeah, so maybe we'll jump into the Sky Striker, and then of course we got Major Blood. So maybe that's what we'll do. Maybe we'll do 2 of each of the subjects each week, and we'll see where we go. But I love it. I hope you guys really enjoy this as well. And what else can I say? Now you Joe. Joeing is half the battle.